They were offering a role for Kenya. And I said, I don't do countries. I do regions.
Ex-Nokia, ex-Google, Gen Z at heart, we speak to Dorothy Ooko and we hear her money story. Learn about her life as a teacher and lecturer for 20 years.
I would be at USIU and then get the mat, go somewhere called the Remote Regional Center for Remote Sensing, teach French, and then take a mat and go to Alliance Française and teach French.
She tells us how learning French set her apart in the job market and allowed her to get a PR job at Nokia without running a previous campaign or having any PR experience.
We are two of us who are then shortlisted for the psychometric test in South Africa, in Joburg, and we are flown together. I'm with this guy. He looks at me and, he asks, how many campaigns have you done? Campaigns? Yeah, I've been teaching. What's a campaign? And I'm like, yeah, but do you speak French? He's like, no, but who needs it? And I'm just like, yeah, I speak French.
She tells us about the role she played in getting zero-rated taxes on mobile phones in Kenya and the reward that she got thereafter.
I got to talk to Professor Bitangendemo. I asked for a meeting and then he looks at me, he said, but you really need to make this campaign so that people feel it's needed. So with that, started educating the press why, if laptops are zero rated, mobile phones should be zero rated. The then Finance Minister Uhuru Kenyatta then in 2007 announced that mobile phones would also be zero rated.
Yeah. She tells us how she almost passed up on a job at Google and why and how she owes some of her financial success to her friends that pushed her.
I get a call from the Google recruiter. Hi, this is Dorothy Ooko. We're looking for you. We've got a role. Would you be interested? I'm like, yeah, this is not a good time. I'm busy. I hang up my Nokia. Agatha is there. She's like, what was that? Curious. I say, oh, it's a Google recruiter wanting me for a job. She's like, are you freaking kidding me? You're taking it and you're listening to them, to what they have to offer.
Despite doubling her salary at every new job, she never negotiated for any salary, something she would do differently if she had a second chance.
I'm just like listening to this figure and listening to what I was getting at USIU. And
how much more was it?
It was like double. I'm like, yes, no negotiation. Yeah.
She also tells us why home ownership was important to her and tells us about the biggest financial lessons she learned from her marriage.
Once I was married.
You were married once.
I got married once.
Or once you were married. Those are two questions.
We paid mortgage for 7 years. You go to the bank to find out what's left. You've only been paying interest.
And finally, she gives us some insight into why she left the corporate space.
Corporate work is also, there's a lot of corporate politics, and maybe it's time to just go and do the things I want to do because life is really short.
Hey everybody, this is Barak from Financially Incorrect, and it is the holiday season. So the first thing I must say is from everybody at Financially Incorrect, happy holidays to you and your loved ones. I hope you have had a blessed year. We want to wish you a fantastic end of the year and a very prosperous new year. The bad news is we did not get to 100K, so we cannot have the biggest party in East Africa. The good news, however, is that we did get to about, by the time I'm recording this video, about 68K. So I must say thank you to the 18K people who were able to subscribe between when we did the last video to this one. But this video, again, is just a reminder. If you like our content, whether it is Uganda edition, whether it's the business edition, whether it's the regular Kenyan edition, please do subscribe. Share it with a friend. Let's get this platform as big as possible. We are in the process of creating more community events. We've had a mixer. We have had a Love and Money event earlier in the year. 2026, we are looking to do bigger and better things. We have a newsletter that's going to come out as well. We want you to be part of the Financially Incorrect Club and to create more valuable stuff for you guys. So please do participate in all the stuff that we have, but most importantly, have a fantastic end of the year. Happy holidays from me and everybody at Financially Incorrect. Hey everybody, welcome back to Financially Incorrect. Happy holidays. It's the holiday season. I hope you are not regretting the financial decisions you made this year and hopefully benefiting from all the good ones that you did make. We are getting into 2026 and we're looking for new guests that we'd like to feature. So there's a link in the description box that has a submission sort of space. Please do send in any recommendations that you'd like for us to interview, anybody you'd like us to interview, or if you'd like to nominate yourself, please do fill that in as well. I don't know if by the time this episode goes out, we'll have filled in our producer role. If it hasn't. We are looking for a producer. There'll be a link in the description box as well. We're looking for a podcast operations partner. So it's a little bigger than a producer in terms of the job role and what they'll do. If the position has not been filled by the time this episode goes out, the link will be in the description box. Please do apply if you so feel inclined. On to today's episode, a very interesting money story, I hope. But I think it will be. I mean, it has to be interesting. Just based on the 10, 15 minutes that we've interacted so far, it has to be interesting. She worked at Nokia, and she was the head of communications and public affairs in East Africa, if I am not wrong. And did I get that wrong?
Yes.
I got it wrong.
Central and Southern Africa.
Oh, my apologies.
It's okay. There's a story about that as well.
Let me see if I get this one right. This other one is the head of communication and public affairs, Google. This is for Africa.
Yes.
That's correct.
That's correct.
Okay. And left Google at the end of last year, if I'm not wrong.
Last year.
And now is a co-founder at, the initials are WSO, but it's with Sales and Oars.
Right.
Right, which is a brand consulting firm among many other sort of offerings.
Right.
I'm correct so far.
You are. I'm impressed.
Okay. Anyway, Dorothy Ooko, please welcome to Financially Incorrect.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, looking forward to having this conversation and hearing how and what you've done with all of your money.
Yeah, thank you. I was listening to you say you hope we have made the right decisions in 2025 so we can enjoy the end of 2025.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your end looking like for 2025?
I am just enjoying it. I'm just happy.
Yeah.
Really, yeah. And happy with the end of 2025. I've had a time of resting, and when you leave corporate, you don't realize how tired you get. You're tired because you're always on the run. It's exciting. You're traveling, you're doing this, you're always just on the run. And when you cover the continent as well, there's just so much you're doing. So I've had time of rest and doing things I love and spending time with people I love. So I am really feeling rejuvenated, ready for 2026.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm curious, what's the single most impactful thing you did in 2025 for your money or for your money story?
Wow. The most important,
impactful, the single most impactful thing you did for your money story in 2025.
Yeah, I think, so after leaving, after leaving work, corporate, it was, you get the pension and you have to invest it. So for me, it's looking at, what will take care of my medical, investing that, and then whatever else is left, which are the money markets. It's a bit tricky. 2025 has been tricky with what's happening in the US, what's happening with the US dollar, what's happening in Kenya with our economy. So it was, how do I make this money multiply so I can continue living this life of leisure, I told you, which is travel when I want to travel.
Right.
Have friends over, do things I love. I'm big on experiences and not have to worry about what if this happens? What if this happens? So that planning was interesting, sitting with I am gifted to have a wonderful relationship manager who sits with me, looks at my money as their money, and is this is where we are going. This is what makes sense. If you do this, then you have money coming in every month and you don't have to worry. Yeah. And that's important, not having to worry about money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess that makes sense. So I guess figuring out what you're going to do with your pension to ensure that you don't have to think about where your money is coming from.
Exactly. And if you don't plan for it, I think that sometimes if you don't plan for your money, then things happen and you're sort of overwhelmed. But I've always been sort of a planner in terms of even if you don't have much, that you are able to still plan for it and still live the life that you want to live. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I have a couple of questions I want to get through before we get to your actual money story. Okay. The next one is when the holiday season, right? Christmas period.
Right.
Do you prefer cash gifts or like an actual well thought out gift?
Wow, that is so interesting. I think both. I think that if someone curates a gift for you because they know you and they give you what you want, it's always very special. And it means they've thought about it.
Yeah.
Yesterday, a friend of mine just brought a wonderful plant. Oh my God, begonia in a lovely pot that matched my color scheme in the house. I was so happy. I was like, I wrote her note and said, oh, how thoughtful, because I wasn't, expecting it. So
Right.
for me, when someone has thought about it, those make really, makes me happy.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like cash gifts are lazy, but for my nieces, I always think that cash gifts are good because you're teaching them to invest. So yesterday we were talking with a friend about their worker.
Right.
And they pay their worker by M-Pesa. And I was like, no, why don't you let him go and open an account at Equity? Because Equity is all over. When he goes to Shags and when he's in Moranga, it doesn't matter. He's going to be able to cash and teach him to be, because when it's an M-Pesa, people just spend it.
Right.
So I was like, she was like, I don't want to get involved in his money. And I was like, no. Teaching him how his money gets to the bank and it comes, and it's an income that registered comes and then giving. So I feel like sometimes money is good because you're teaching people money habits.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
as Africans, we don't always have those. That is not taught to us.
Yeah.
We're not like the Indians or even the Europeans where that is taught to you. We're not. We struggle as we're growing because no one tells you. So I was like, start teaching him. So when it's teaching, even younger people or your kids, money is good because then you're teaching them about the importance of saving that money and being stewards of that money. And then the other gifts are, personal for the other. So it depends.
Yeah.
But I'm really for both.
Okay, I hear you. I mean, I like the analogy you're talking about, or the story you're talking about, where you're talking to your friend. My mom does and did something really similar with the house helps that she had in the house,
Right.
where she would make them open a bank account, and then she would also went to the extent of, she'd tell them, if you've saved a certain amount for the year, I will match your savings
Right.
at the end of the
that's
year, and like
good.
things like that. But
And they get motivated.
and they
isn't
got
it?
motivated to do stuff like
Yeah.
that. So anyway, that was just a sort of tangent off of there.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite Christmas memory?
Christmas, oh gosh, I was telling someone, in those early days,
Which are the early
was
days?
those early days. So I would remember my Christmas, maybe from the 70s when I was sort of 70, I was, 10, you sort of remember those, And, I have to tell you this because now that I've grown up, that thing. So we would, my mother would really bring the Christmas tree, the literal, and would decorate it. And we'd have cotton wool on, we'd have cotton wool on it.
As a snow.
I only found out that we were doing cotton wool because it was snow. That's what we were doing when I was much grown up, and I was now doing. And I was so like, can you imagine? This is how we are so colonized that we even wanted our Christmas tree to have flakes of snow.
So that was the real Christmas.
Like, that was and I was like,
That's an interesting.
That was like, and as kids, you don't know, you're putting it, and you don't ask questions. And that's why I'm big on being curious and asking questions. Why? And I don't know if my mother would have understood. Why were we doing it? It's because all the Christmas trees are these white things, and you did it, and the shiny things, and you just do it because it's done. And then when I realized that, was like, I'm going to have my African Christmases, which are going to be so different, you know, because an African Christmas, there is no snow, it's hot, as we are seeing it now.
Yeah.
But that was it. And then also the new clothes that you got.
Right.
And then the food was always special. There was chicken that wasn't there for every day. And there was all, chapos that were cooked galore. So it was always festivity of eating and new clothes.
Yeah.
Now you get new clothes, you get clothes all the time, so it's not a big deal. You eat all the time.
Yeah.
Those days they weren't even, as I said, you would buy the whole chicken and then it would be cut, and the kids knew these were the parts. These days you can just have chicken thighs, and everyone has chicken thighs.
Yes, exactly.
Then it was the neck for me. It was these are the parts. It was like that's what kids got, and the adults got that, and so you're like, this is it. But it was still fun. It was about being together.
Yeah.
And having others, the cousins who came from shags who would come home. That was it. And then when it got, a bit sophisticated and there was more money, it was now going to the coast because that was what everyone did. And you'd take the train. It wasn't the SGR. It was my father worked for Kenya Railways. It was like you got that one and then went to, to the coast.
Yeah.
To stay with a relative, not in that hotel.
Okay, I mean that sounds like fun though.
Yeah, both
those instances sound like fun. Okay.
Yeah.
On to the last question. Before we get to your money story, you speak 7 languages.
Yes, some better than others.
Yeah. Can you tell us what the 7 languages are?
So I would say Luo.
Yes, of course.
Swahili, English.
Yeah.
French, which is what I also taught at the university. And then French, it's so interesting. I always believe that if you go to another country, you have to learn. So after French, when I was teaching French at USIU, my students always complained that it was so hard that I wasn't, you don't understand how hard it is to learn a language. Mm-hmm. So I was like, is it really hard? Because I'm just like, French is easy. I started learning it. It's easy. It can't be that hard. So this was my deal with them. I said, okay, I'm going to take a new language. So Spanish was being taught. I know nothing about it. I learned Spanish and find out what's the work you guys are not doing because I'm going to also get an A in Spanish.
Right.
So as I'm teaching, I learned Spanish more to show my students that
it is possible.
It is possible, and learning a language requires you to be methodical in remembering the words and mastering the vocabulary and then doing it. So I did it to prove to them. And then I did, Spanish 1, 2, and 3 and went to Spain. So Spanish was done to show my students that it's possible.
Wow.
And that I could sit. So I'd sit in class with the ones who are learning Spanish. We'd do the same exams. I mean, I'm not getting any special, and we'd all speak. And then the final, when we finished there, we'd all go to Spain with Brother Vincent, who was the late Brother Vincent, go to Spain, visit other places. So I was like, yeah, it can be done.
Yeah.
But I also knew the work that was needed to be done. So that's how I learned my Spanish.
Okay.
And then when I joined Nokia, I was covering Mozambique, and they speak Portuguese. And my Spanish was there, but it couldn't help me. And I thought, even though everyone in Mozambique speaks English, when you speak the language they speak, there's a way in which you're drawn closer. People just find you, disarm them. And so Nokia's like, yeah, we could learn, we'll pay for your tutor. And that's how my Portuguese came. I studied, went to Brazil because my teacher was Brazilian to perfect it. You have to go to the land where the language is spoken.
Yeah.
And that's where my Portuguese then became, the thing. And then when I was studying in France, because after A-level, I studied in France, France was considered as my first language. So I needed 2 foreign languages. Mm-hmm. And French is not my first language, but you're in a French university. French is considered. They were like, no, this is your first language. You applied, you're here. So then I had to choose 2.
Second one.
To beat the system, English became my
second language.
I was like, English. So I was very good in it. That's how you balance the marks of your French. And then to Russian. So I studied Russian for 2 years. So Russian as well. Exactly.
Okay.
So, yeah, but there's always something that motivated me. And then because Russian was new to everyone, we're on the same keel. We're all learning. We all have to do well.
Yeah.
I'm sort of smarter in English because I know it better than you guys. But then in French, we're all the same. Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, with these 7 languages, what's the easiest language to think in?
It used to be French when to be honest, when I was teaching, like if I was really mad or it's unbelievable, if something is unbelievable, I'll think of the French. I'll think of French when I'm just comfortable. So that was my go-to language. Mm-hmm. And then I think these days, Swahili. My big thing is, if I'm saying I'm good in a language, I have to pray in that language. As a Christian, I have to pray in that language. I tried in Luo, like I'd hear my mom pray and she knows, and I'm like, wow, I can't. I still try. So I do. I'm like, no. And then Swahili, can I pray in Swahili? And I listen to people pray in Swahili. I'm like, oh my God, this is really hard. They know the right words, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think French is it. It's my default language.
Okay.
Yeah.
So French really is
So
language
French
you
is,
think- you
yes,
think is
exactly. I'm
then.
comfortable in it. Sometimes I find words. The other day, actually, we were talking. We had a board meeting at the Alliance Française, and I was talking to the new director, and I was describing her, and the word I was telling her it was in French. So then she had to go on Google Translate and find out what that word was in English. So that was fun.
Okay.
Yeah. Some words come easier in French than in English.
Okay.
Because they describe it so well. It's just like, you know, and I guess now that I know the word, it was like, yeah, you're insightful, but you're, you know, perspicace just means that you're someone who reads people, reads a room, and is able to just understand people. And it's an important asset to have.
I mean, and there's a bunch of non-English speaking countries or non-English speakers who do say English is a very complicated language. The words, the tenses, the pronunciations. I mean, compared to other languages, it's quite complicated.
Right.
Anyway, okay.
I think so too. And I think that English, we're lucky because we speak it as our first language. We are taught in schools. But these days I do, and I was talking to some young people I mentor who cannot finish a sentence without adding Swahili. They just get lost. And I was telling them that it's wonderful, but the world, it's a global world. And I know that when you do that, you get people to understand you, but it's because they're Kenyans. What if they're not Kenyans? So you see every black person and you assume they're Kenyan and you just start in English and go on. And it's a very Kenyan thing. And I was telling them that, but if you want to be global, then it's okay to think local, but also switch to being international and finishing your sentences in English.
Okay. Let's get into your money story now.
Yes.
You've told us a little bit already about your mom and your dad. You said your dad worked for Kenya Railways.
My mom worked for East African Airways.
Yeah. So what was it? Sounds like, I mean, in those days, would you say that you grew up in privilege from a money perspective?
No.
That's shocking for me to hear based on where you've said they were working.
Not at all, because my mom was a secretary.
Okay.
She first started as a typist. East African Airways was a big thing. My dad was railways. It was just I guess in those days, because it looked like, you're comfortable, but it wasn't money at all. And it was hard work. You probably had, like you had TV before other kids, in the neighborhood, but we lived in places where all the railway people lived, so I think it's been, you just work, you work hard and you do what you need to do, but not definitely not money.
When do you understand or sort of learn that money makes the world go round? When does that consciousness come, awareness come for you?
So my dad left when I was 10. He went to the US to study. He was an economist. He went to the US. And the plan, he was like, I'll go. And then my mom, because she worked for the airline, we could all travel and we'll join him. And then he just disappeared. And so left my mother with all four of us.
Disappeared disappeared. No trace.
No trace and no support. So my mother then becomes a single mother looking after us. And I'm the firstborn. And so it was, she's alone, and so, but she was also someone who wanted her children to have the best of everything. Like if you said, I want to do this, she's like, yeah, do it. Like when I told her, oh, Mom, I think I need to go and study in France so that my French can really be good. She goes, okay, you find out what is needed and then tell me and I'll pay. In those days, it was after I finished my A-level in 1983, those days. Mm-hmm. And so it was really, then those days were also good. It was the French franc. There wasn't a euro. It was 1 French franc was 1 Kenya shilling. And in France, education is free. So she didn't have to worry about education, but you have to pay for accommodation and my living expenses.
Right.
And then those days, you also had to get the central bank to approve. So you get them, this is it, this is how much you'll spend. And only that amount of money would be sent to you, to me in France. It was very strict. And so when I went to France, actually, that was really it. You have to budget your money because it's not coming. Central bank only allows your mother to send this. So it was, let's say, 240 francs for my accommodation, which is like 240 shillings.
Yeah.
It was still cheaper, but I knew that for my mother, it meant a lot. She was saving, she was selling, she'd travel to London, buy clothes and sell them because those days our market was there wasn't anything if you wanted to dress nice. And she'd buy those, sell, get extra money and pay. But so you're in a foreign country and you're young and you don't have all that. You can't decide, oh, I'm going to buy this. That wasn't part of the budget. The budget was really strict. I knew, I'd budget for my food because money, there's no one who's sending you some money through M-Pesa or anything. So if you mess with it, that's the end. I'm not doing extra jobs in France because it wasn't like the US where you can work. So my money would arrive. I've bought my, the favorite food was spaghetti and eggs for all students.
Spaghetti and eggs.
And eggs, because it's
I've
high
never
protein.
heard of that combination before.
Oh my God.
What
it's
kind of
cheap
eggs?
because eggs are cheap.
Yeah.
And spaghetti is cheap. And so you boil your spaghetti, then your egg, fry it with eggs. Yummy. And that's your meal and you're good. And you don't have to go to a restaurant. And so you save money. So you look for things to do. You have a nice budget. Your food doesn't take too much. Your transport is well catered for, and then you know that when time comes, you go home for the holiday.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think that was the first discipline of you really need to know because money isn't coming at all.
Yeah.
Central bank will allow another chunk to be sent the next semester. And it is sent when the university has also said, this is what you need. They don't go off. You can't create like, I need
budget.
clothes. No, I need new clothes. So the clothes I'd have, I'd just be there. That's what I'd do,
Yeah.
And you'd survive.
Interesting, about like how different it was at that point in time.
Exactly.
And I mean, I'm asking this out of curiosity and I don't mean to pry, but have you, with your dad leaving in that way or disappearing in that way, did you ever have a conversation as a family about it? Or when did you realize that he wasn't coming back?
He wasn't because, of course, as kids, you fantasize. You're like, oh, my dad is in the US, he's coming, he's going to take us, he's not coming, there's no fees. And your mom is just like, I'm alone. And 1 year turns to 2 years to 3 years to 5 years. And
what are you telling other kids at that point?
You just say your dad is in the US. And then, kids are like, oh, is he a diplomat? And you never say he isn't because remember, Mama is traveling, we are dressed well. You don't say. And then I think for me, the disenchantment, then you realize he's never coming. And so if my mom was strict, very strict. She was like, you're not getting pregnant. If you ever get pregnant, you'll see. So you're the firstborn, you're really, you cannot get pregnant. I don't want to see you talking to boys. Boys are really bad. Be careful. It was very strict. And then you need to set an example to your siblings because if you misbehave, so there's that pressure. And then you keep hoping you romanticize this idea of a father. Like if dad was here, it wouldn't be like this. He'd allow me to go out, and do things, and you're too strict. And then you realize he's not coming. And so that romanticizing of if dad was here, which kids do, it would be different. And then you realize he's not coming. And then you sort of stick with mom's strict plan and you do it. So, so that was it. Stuck to that plan, realized he wasn't coming. He did come much later. But then I was already in campus at graduate. I think I was graduating with my master's when
Yeah.
when he sort of showed up. And
what's
then,
that conversation like even?
yeah, you don't have a conversation. And I'm that person who is like, you had time, yeah? You missed your time. It's over 10 years. There's nothing you can say to justify that. And you let mom sort of take this role that she was young, and my mom got married when she was really young. So I'm like, to have responsibility of 4 children, and this guy who you thought was going to, you'd planned this thing of yours coming, and now you don't know, was hard. So for me, there was no discussion. You should have done you could have done what you did. You could have sent money to help her pay the fees. You could have, and you didn't. And you will just suffer the consequences, because, of course, then later he would read, because now I'm in corporate world, he opens a paper, he sees Dorothy Ooko, he wants money. He came back broke, he wants money. And I'm like, you had your time, you did not support me, there's nothing you did for me.
Yeah.
And I don't owe it to you, so sorry.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. And it's hard. And people say, like, it's hard. I'm like, it's okay. It was also hard at that time. Yeah, you made a choice of not being present. And that's the price. And you have to pay the price. And I truly believe in, you make choices. And those choices have consequences, And your kids will not make it right for you. So
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Okay. Yeah. What do you think, seeing your mom do what she did and get through what she went through, what do you think that taught you about money and I guess life in that sense?
Yeah, I think, first of all, I was like, because of pressure, I was like, man, I don't know if I ever want to bring kids in this life and have, you have so many expectations. And because she's raised you, there's so many expectations. You'll do this, you'll do this, you'll do this. And it's hard. I feel like then it's a hard responsibility to give, your kids, for them to be the one to make it right for you or to sort that out. But I understand. I feel like it was, you want to have it, but she also wanted us to have the best. So she really gave us the best of what she could, little things. There was drive-in, we'd go to drive-in and she's cooked, and, you're all in there, so you don't buy the extra food, you're eating and you're happy. And, she really did try. But I think it also showed me that it's important to have that money so you're independent, because my mom is very independent. She's strong and she's independent. And I think I got that from her, this strong and independent. And then as a firstborn, to just always do. I think from an early age, I was always working or trying to get jobs. I remember I learned how to teach Kiswahili because during my holidays, I would teach the Peace Corps Americans in Naivasha. There was a Peace Corps school. And I learned how to teach Swahili. My Swahili wasn't so good, but I learned how to teach the who tense, whatever. I taught and made extra money. So I was always working to make the extra money. It was like, got this gig, taught Peace Corps. For every holiday, I would go there, teach Swahili and teach the Luo. Actually, there's a book I used to use called The Luo Without Tears. And I would explain The Luo Without Tears. It's a good book. I was looking at it yesterday. Yeah. And teach them, because the Peace Corps who are going to teach in Luo land needed to speak Luo. So I could teach Luo and I could teach Swahili. And make extra money for the things I wanted, because my mom would be, there's no money for that. No, I don't have money for that. And then you're like, okay, now I have money. I can do what I want. This is the money that allows me to do the extra.
Right.
But so I became, from a young age, even when I was teaching, I was a hustler before this hustler thing came to me.
Yeah.
I hustled, because it was important to get money. I remember when I was in KU, they want Ubers and they want buses. It was just, I would teach I would be at USIU, and then I would get the mat, go somewhere called remote. It was in Kasarani, remote sense center, regional center for remote sensing, teach French, and then take a mat and go to Alliance Française and teach French.
So you're teaching 3 different places.
Teach 3 different
At that
places.
time, yeah.
Exactly. And make the money. And I was never tired. And I'm not taking an Uber,
Yeah.
the bus, the 45, and you take it and you do and you teach and you're never tired. And then weekends, I'd be doing your kids are having a problem. I'm the one. Bring your children to me and I'll teach them.
The extra tuition
I had
classes.
the extra tutor. So my weekend, I was really busy, but busy because I liked traveling. So I wanted to travel. So the extra money was to enable me to do the things I wanted to do, whether it was traveling within Kenya or traveling out. I needed that extra money. As I said, I love experiences, but I was always just working. I'll do that. And it seemed so easy. Now, if you ask me to do that using public means, I'd go, are you?
Yeah.
But you did it. And I think that when you don't, you have so much energy and will to do that, that it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess 'cause it sounds like you've talked to us a little bit already about what you end up pursuing at university and specializing in French and then beginning to teach French. Was there any thinking around this, what you were undertaking and your ability to make money with that? Or was it just for the love of the language or teaching in and of itself?
Right. That's a good question. My mom still says that I need to be paid. I need to pay her more because it's because of her that French was a thing. And French was always the differentiator. She always says, I owe it to her, and I do. I think that French was always a thing that would allow me to differentiate myself in anything I was doing. And I knew even when I was teaching, the reason I also wanted to leave teaching, I felt like I was just teaching with the bare minimum, and my French was like, I wasn't using my French as it is. I needed a job where I could use French in business and be able to do that. And so I also knew that if I was looking for another job, the thing that I had was I could speak French that not many people would. And so that was always my differentiator. Like, but I speak French.
Yeah.
And the French always opened doors.
Okay.
Yeah, always opened doors.
And so maybe you can give me a bit of context about this sort of the first couple of years of your life where you're teaching at these multiple institutions. What's your money situation? How much are you making? How are you spending your money at that point in time? What's your budget looking like? You've talked about traveling already.
Yes.
Can you give us a bit more context to that? Yeah.
Wow, the money. So let's say as I was a teacher, I was a tutorial fellow at USIU when I started. The money, it was like maybe when I started, honestly, I knew I wanted, it was 20K, 25K. It wasn't much.
Yeah.
It seemed a lot then, 20K, I think, to be honest. It was very little, but it was a lot. It's little, but that's why I needed to work all these jobs. Because so you're putting them together. And then my mom was like, make sure you get a car, then you can move out, because I wanted to move out. But if you don't have a car, then you can't do all these things.
Right.
Luckily for us then, it was during Moi's time, and he was like rewarding lecturers. You could bring in a car, duty-free. So that was amazing. So you're part of a circle. You're like, I can get a loan and then bring the car. So I brought my first car in. It was a Toyota Sprinter. Yay. Got it and then moved to my own place. And then with that car, you could, I think, and then after, being a tutorial fellow for long, your salary after you've taught sort of comes to close to 50K.
Yeah.
Close. And but you still need other things because it's not enough. You have fuel, but you've got this car that was duty free. that made a difference because it brought the cost of the car down.
Yes.
And now you have a car. So now you can do more. So
Yes,
that was for
yes.
me. Now you have a car,
That
you
was the
can
other-
do more. So I'm remote sense. I'm at TCP trying to see, hey, do you guys need a teacher? I can teach French and still doing my evening classes at Alliance Française. And then weekends, having people come to my house, my apartment, and they would come and I'd just arrange them. You know the way you are like, okay, 10 to 11 out.
Right.
The next one comes.
Right.
So my Saturday morning would be those tutorials, and then Saturday afternoon would be for working out and doing what I wanted to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long do you have this? How long does this go on for?
Wow. It was for a long time, to be honest. A long time because then, I kept my expenditure the same. So I was one of those boring people. So when we left KU after graduating, most of my friends were working in banks. They were working in other organizations, NGOs, and they had more money than I had for sure.
Yes.
But I loved teaching.
Yeah.
I love teaching, and I still think teaching is my calling and my passion. But they were all doing well, and people were, they were buying good cars. So I was really modest in where everyone is. People
Right.
are doing well. They're buying their first houses, or they've also gotten married, and they're having their and I'm just with this car. And I lived in this house, I remember, because the rent was really lovely. I lived on Elgeyo Marakwet Road, really nice. The apartments are really nice, actually. It's where 3D is right now. You know the 3D restaurant?
Yes.
So there were flats there, we're all single people living there. I lived there forever. My friends were like, you need to move out. You can't stay in the same place all the time. It's really boring. I'm like, it works. It's like 10K for the rent.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. It's a one-bedroomed apartment. It's really together. Why do I want to change it to go to a 20K place?
Right.
So again, for me, it was like I was stubborn. I lived there for, honestly, the big part, maybe 18 years, and people were just
18
bored.
years.
I only left because they were selling the place to have this 3D restaurant.
18 years.
18, and people are
Wow.
like, you need to change, and really, I think that's the other thing. That for me is the other thing where people, if you succumb to people's pressure, which is, you need to stay. Like, you can't say, it was a lovely place. I was on this house, so there's a garden. You could have Christmas. I'd invite my folks. We would sit over there, garden. It's lovely. Why change it, Because people are like, you've stayed here. It's really boring. You need some change, whatever. I just stuck to it. It works. The rent is good. It's a lovely place. It's in a good neighborhood. If the car breaks down, Adams Arcade is just close by. You're set. So for me, one of the things was, you don't change because everyone is telling you. But I feel like sometimes it's so easy to succumb to that pressure where move to one of those new flats or whatever where I can say my address is different. I stayed there. It worked. And everyone said, are you still staying there? I'm still staying there for the longest while. And so I made, and then I had my car for the longest while. I think only changed my car when then I advanced to golf GTI when I went to USIU and I was teaching. Then I had my red Golf, But for me, if it works, it works. Don't let people tell you need to go to this, you need to do this. For me, it was like it works, and then it allows me to have money to do all the other things I need to do. Very simply furnished. It did not have, all those things, just simple but elegant and beautiful, if I may say so. But I had cane furniture. I could show you, nice cane furniture that had been painted white, and it was wonderful. It worked. So for me, it was like it worked for me. But I also recognized, I had friends who were earning like 10x what I was, earning. And I think that also just made me feel like I wanted to leave teaching and then go to corporate to earn more. That was the thing. I'm like, I need to earn more because really.
But it sounds like even then it takes you a long time to get to that point. Because you said you taught for about 20 years.
Yes, exactly. But you see, I'm happy. It's working. I'm traveling, remember? I'm
Okay.
doing my thing. I'm
And
traveling.
is there anywhere else where your money is going?
I'm traveling.
So you're keeping your expenses low and you're traveling.
And I'm traveling. And, okay, and now that you've asked this, I've just remembered. Then when I was teaching it was actually when I was at USIU, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yes.
That was a book that revolutionized my life. Because now I knew that, remember from my days in France, that you budget for your money. You don't spend it all. So I may look like, I was traveling. I was traveling a lot. I love travel. But there was always money for saving
Right.
and for things. It wasn't organized. Rich Dad, Poor Dad helped me realize, yeah, you mean, there is a science to this thing. So I remember then I started buying shares. But this book was so powerful that when I was in USIU, I made all my students read it, Rich Dad Poor Dad. I was like, I didn't get this, but you guys are getting this. And you're going to graduate this
With
year.
some financial literacy.
Yes, financial literacy is important. And really, I think that also compounded this idea of you don't spend all, but you must have the experiences you love. I'm not into, don't spend, you're just saving. I'm like, I love a good life and I will do what I want to do, but saving was important. So I bought shares, I bought the KQ shares, started doubling in shares.
Yeah.
KCB, name them. It was like, just get money and put them in shares and you get the dividends, once a year. It's good. It's okay. You look at it, you're like, okay, not bad. Put it there. And then didn't really for the longest while. So Rich Dad Poor Dad really got me to understand the market and start thinking of, okay, so should I invest in T-bills? Should I invest in, what does that look like? And to be honest, those are the early 2000s. No one is teaching you. No one knows. Yeah. You're just seeing, but you're seeing your friends. And even then I remember someone saying, oh, do you need a life insurance? I'm like, I'm young. What do you mean life insurance? Never. I came to regret that when I was looking, when I wanted to buy a house and they asked, do you have a life insurance? No. Oh, because if you had a life insurance, we wouldn't ask for security because your life insurance would be your security.
Yeah.
But when you're young, I was like, life insurance? Hell no,
Yeah.
You guys, I'm not dying soon, whatever. And clearly I haven't died, I'm here. But I'm like, I'm not putting my money in one of those things. I'm just doing it. But it's because you don't know.
What was your toughest financial moment in those years? Do you remember? Did you have one?
Tough, I don't know. I think I've had financial reawakenings. Okay. So at once, I remember once I was married, and so
you were married once.
I got married once.
Or once you were married. Those are two questions. Those are two different statements.
Been there, done that, Barack. But yeah, so this is how as you do things, you're doing and learn, and you learn all the time. And so, I need to change. We were in a very, you do your thing, I do mine,
right.
Very 50-50 sort of thing. And so I'm like, I need to take a loan. I need to upgrade. I'm taking a loan to buy a car. And my ex was horrified. You're taking a loan to buy a car?
Yeah.
In their culture, you don't take a loan to buy a car. This is what you saved for. So I quickly changed, like, okay, it's just like, no, you can't be taking a car. You only take a loan to buy a home.
Yeah.
It's the only thing you do. And so I learned, I was like, what? Yeah, you don't take a loan to buy a car. And that for me was the thing, because I was like, you take a loan to buy a car. So I changed. And since then, every car I've bought, no loan. I buy my car with what
you have.
And I plan for it, So that's also different culture, an awakening, because people do that. And then the other awakening was, because when we are divorcing, we're selling our house, the house that we had bought, and we need to sell it and divide it 50-50.
Yeah.
And so we'd taken a loan and you're paying mortgage. We'd paid mortgage for 7 years, yeah? And you're selling the house. And then you go to the bank to find out what's left. I tell you, Barack, I kid you not. It's like you've only been paying interest.
Yeah.
You haven't paid for the house.
Yeah.
And that was my second thing. I would never, that was my second lesson, never, ever take a loan for a home.
Yeah.
I decided. And I was like, what? All these years. So then you do that, you pay your interest. So you remember we said you can only take a loan to build up, which is
Yes.
why we did this.
Where you took the loan to get the home.
My
yeah.
learning was, man, unless you're taking it and then you have lots of money after that to pay it off, you spend the rest of your life paying for this mortgage.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was my learning. So after that, I was like, I am going to the next home that, you've got the money, you've divided, I'll buy, I will not take a loan.
Yeah.
I decided. But then I will just now rent. So, you separated. I went back. I rented, a place, a nice cottage in Karen. I'm staying there. I come back from my travel because I was working. Yes, I was at Google. Come back, find the guy has sold the land. He sold his property without telling me.
Yeah.
So I come back, electricity has been cut off, everything. The guy didn't tell me. He sold the place.
Yeah.
So now I'm just like, I have to find a place to stay.
Yeah.
Immediately. And that night, I remember I prayed. I was like, I will never rent again. So remember, I've got two things. I'm not buying a house mortgage.
Yes.
It's not working.
And now you're not renting
Now
again.
I'm never renting again.
Yeah.
And that night, I was online looking for places. I'm desperate.
Yeah.
Looking. I found a flat. I called the guy. I'm like, I want one where I can make changes the way I want it, And I got one, just like it was off-plan, that built, and then he was like, yeah, you could make changes the way you want. That was it. This is how much we need to get, whatever. You're lucky now I'm in corporate world, it doesn't matter. You sell a few shares, you get, you remember, oh yeah, I've got my pension from my USIU days.
Yeah.
Let me look for that money because I hadn't looked for it. And yes, it was there. You put all the money aside, bought my apartment and was like, that's it. I am not, as I said, never renting, never having a landlord do this to me
Right.
and treat me. And those were the lessons, mortgage, I was like, when people tell me, well, I need to take a mortgage, I'm like, yeah, do, but then have whatever you get your bonus, get your big thing, pay it off.
Yeah,
Because
as quickly as you can.
as quickly
and I
as
think
you
also,
can.
I mean, based on the number of interviews, I guess, that we've had, I think there's also the importance of looking at the terms, what are actual terms of repayment.
We
and all
don't
those
look, you're so
things.
desperate for this.
Yeah.
It's like, I just want a loan. When will it be there? Because if you don't pay, so you don't look at
Yeah.
it. I think if you're a banker's look,
Because you remember what your terms were for that mortgage.
we didn't. As I said, we were both artists, creators. I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
He was a journalist. We don't look at the terms, but we are like, but we know we can pay this mortgage. This is how much we need to pay. And we're going to we are faithful to paying the mortgage. But now when push comes to shove and now you need to sell the property, you're looking for, really, how much is left of this? There's nothing.
Yeah.
So I think that's it. Look at the terms, but then if you get big money on the side, just pay it off. Don't wait. It feels easy. So 7 years you're paying like with 250,000 every month.
Yeah.
And you didn't make a dent
On what you owed, yeah.
So you sell and then you pay the bank what you owed, which is a lot.
Yeah, and I know there's also the stuff of there's the payments you can make, and then there's extra payments you can make and tell them this deducts
Exactly.
from the principal.
Exactly. Those
kinds of
those are the
things,
smart
yeah.
things you need to do.
Yeah.
You don't. I see you're just like, you're having a house, you're paying your mortgage, 250,000, you're happy. What else could go wrong?
Yeah.
And then of course you're going to live happily ever after with your then life happens. So I think that was also the thing. And then not being at the mercy of a landlord. So that pushed me, it catapulted me, because I think I was I was staying there. I was happy. It was a nice place. But then that catapulted me into, okay, you can't live at the mercy of people. You can't arrive, you from your travels and find someone has sold the house.
Yeah.
And they didn't consult you and they don't consult you. And then it's like, you can't sue him. And he doesn't care.
Yeah.
So those were the lessons learned, as you go along, and then you're like, yeah, now I'll get at least I'm in my house, I'll sleep, no one will wake up and tell me
Get out.
I've sold it. Yes, it's your place. And that's why I guess we want to own our homes or own whatever it is we have,
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I want to talk about the transition from the teaching career and when you're deciding to go corporate, right? How do you what eventually sort of, pushes you over the edge to now make the decision to start applying for corporate jobs? Do you apply for corporate jobs or do they find you? And then how else do you determine whether they're paying you a good salary? Yeah.
Very, very good question. So I knew, as I remember, I'm with friends who are all in the banking sector, insurance. They're definitely doing much better than I am. I'm still staying at the same house where they've moved and whatever, What the thing was, I had a friend who's a headhunter. I said, I need to, and she also kept saying,
and sorry, and how many years had you been into your career by this point?
20 years.
Okay.
Yeah. As I said, I'm one of those, I get comfortable.
Yeah.
Teaching, at KU. Yeah, I think KU was, 7 to 10 years. Taught forever. And then when I moved to USIU, they were now better. USIU was the private university where you would teach and you didn't have to do all this hustling, doing all these, the pay was almost twice what I was getting at KU.
Yeah.
It was really good. And then you had everything you needed to teach. But I knew, I was like, I need to really get to a corporate job. So my friend who is a headhunter was like, Dorothy, with your French, I could get you a job. I'm like, here's my CV. I'd given to a few recruiters, And then one day she calls, she's like, Nokia is looking for someone. They're looking for someone who speaks French. They want to start their office in DRC, Congo, Kinshasa. So would you be interested? I said, yeah, of course. So I go and meet the Finnish guy. He was like, I don't have experience in PR, but he was like, I would never teach someone how to speak French in 3 months, but I can teach you PR in less than 3 months, So he puts my hat in the ring. So we are 2 of us who are then shortlisted to go and do the psychometric test in South Africa, in Joburg. And we are flown together, and I'm with this guy who is, he looks at me and, he asks, how many campaigns have you done? Campaigns?
Yeah, I've been teaching.
Yeah, I've been teaching. What's a campaign? And he looks at me very sadly, and he knows the job is his. He's done Tusker. You remember Tusker Project Fame? Yeah, Tusker Project Fame. He gave me everything. And me, I'm just going because my French is, and I'm like, yeah, but do you speak French? He's like, no, but who needs it? And I'm just like, yeah, I speak French. So we go, we do the psychometric test, we do interviews, we come back home, and they call me and they say, you got the job. I made it, even without a campaign.
Wow.
And
did you ever find out why you got the job and not him?
Yeah, well, yes. Apparently, they said that my personality. You haven't seen it. That's what they said. They said my personality. They felt that I was a good fit for the Nokia culture.
Right.
The Finnish culture is really very special. I think I've never worked for a company like that where they're very modest. So, and the culture is always about we. It's never like I have done it, like I did this. So if you did financially incorrect, it was like we, the team, have done
this up.
you really put yourself down for the sake of the team. It was
Right.
always about achieving together. And I guess that was it. They also, it's not, I am the one, I am, the leader. It's always we. So I guess that was it. So I was like, wow, this is it. And then they offered, I didn't even negotiate. And now I can tell women out there, please negotiate.
Yeah.
Women are not good negotiators. And so I'm very passionate about mentoring women about how they negotiate. Guys know how to do it.
Yeah.
They're like, what do you mean? I'm just like listening to this figure and listening to what I was getting at USIU. And
How much more was it?
It was like double. I'm like, yes. Yes. No negotiation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, you'll start. And then I was also like, I don't know what PR is. I'm going to learn. So I'm just happy with this money. I'm going to go to Kinshasa. This is a good beginning. And so
Before you get there,
Yes.
with the negotiation that you have, experience now that you have, how
Yes.
much do you think you leave on the table potentially by not negotiating?
wow, you leave, I think, a lot, because there's always room. So from what I've learned, there's always room. Whoever is offering you that, they have a bandwidth.
Yeah.
So let's say I'm offering you 250 to 500. Yeah. I'll offer you 250. If you say yes, well and good. If I get a guy, Barack, who comes and says 500, I'll go, no, come on, 450. So it depends.
Yeah.
But you have to negotiate to know and to push and to be very confident of your
ask.
Of your ask. Yeah. So I accept. I'm like, the numbers are looking good. This is, and I'm still staying at my lovely flat. What else is needed? And I'm traveling. So that was good. And then it gave me a chance to get out of teaching. But PR is really like teaching. I feel like it's the same thing. You demystify complex things. You make them easy for people to understand.
Yeah.
So if we were talking about the phone, I break it down. I show you how to take care of the phone, what to do. That's what you do. And so for me, I went in, I went to Nokia, but I was always asking questions. I think teachers, being a teacher, you ask questions and you learn. This was my pitch to them when I was looking for the job. I'm like, I'm a teacher. I learn all the time. I'm good at learning. You will see how good I'm at learning.
Right.
Which is what you do. You ask questions and you learn. And it was just like, learn. And then the rest is relationships. And you're able to build those relationships and build trust, because communications, PR, is a lot of it is about trust.
Right.
And about being dependable. If journalists can depend on you, that you're going to give them this information when they need it, you want to be on their good books. And when I say I'm going to do this today, I'm going to do it today. I'll
Right.
get it to you by noon. When do you want it? That's it. And that teaches you to be a person of honor. And that was always my thing. If I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I'll
Right.
deliver that. And so quickly learned and built a name for myself. First of all, because Nokia, I don't know if you're born Barack then, but Nokia was the phone, man.
3310.
It was
Yes.
the phone to have,
Yeah, for a long time.
It was the phone to have for a long time. There was no social media. There was only Twitter.
Yeah.
So I joined Twitter in those days. And then I'll just listen to conversations. There were no social media agencies. I'd listen if someone said, my Nokia is having a problem, quickly find a way. What's your number? Can we get your number? Can you get it to the care center here? We'll sort it out. Being dependable as a brand, you
Yeah.
know? And did that. Or if I had, I remember this, I think it was someone, Hope FM, they wanted, their dream was to have a phone. I don't know which phone. I was like, we'll deliver the phone. What is it? They'll enjoy it. Is that all they want? That was it. So it was really good in terms of getting people to experience your brand, experience your
Right.
product, love it. You are there, seeing the difference, the
Yeah.
phone, because it was really the advent of the mobile phone.
Yes.
And seeing what the phone could do. Football, how many watchmen were listening to on their phone.
Yeah.
It was amazing. The
That
flashlight.
radio and-
So
yeah.
innovation was happening. It was really, really good. And there was a lot we could do with that. So
Yeah.
we did that, and I think where I made a mark was when I was able to lobby, and Uhuru Kenyatta was the Minister for Finance then, and Professor Bitangendemo was the PS, I approached him, said, we should really...
What is that process like? What does approaching him mean? Are you sending him an email? Are you calling him? Looking for networks? And what's that lobby process
Really
like?
good, because first of all, I found out computers and laptops were zero rated in Kenya.
Yes.
So thanks to Microsoft. So I reached out to Louis Otieno, who had led those efforts. And you'd be amazed at how good and helpful people are. So I went to him. Internally, when I said I wanted to do this, I was told we don't have a policy person. It can't happen. You are not a policy person. We don't have a budget. You can't do it. It was no. And there was someone in marketing was like, why are you even bothering? I was really passionate. I felt like if laptops are zero rated, they're coming in, and you had a guest who was telling you they were coming in, no duty.
Yeah, Bobby from PC World.
Exactly, from PC World. It was revolutionary. And I'm like, the future PC on our hand is a mobile phone.
Yes.
It should be zero rated. So I talked to Louis Otieno. He told me he was generous with his information. And then after that, I got I got to talk to Professor Bitangendemo. I think I knew him before I met him. I don't know how, but anyway, I met him. I asked for a meeting. Nokia wants to meet, and this is a proposal. And then he looked at me. He said, but you really need to make this campaign so that people feel it's needed. I'd advise you, go talk to your journalists and media, educate them on why it's important to have zero rated, because the phones. Duty was almost 50%, so it was driving the cost of the phones up. So with that, started educating the press on why, if laptops are zero rated, mobile phones should be zero rated. We're going to change the life of the mama mboga. We're going to change the life of kids in school, because they're going to get the phones at half the cost, really. And so that was it. It was 1 year, you edit. There's a story in the paper, you're having sessions, and then you try partnering with Safaricom and Airtel, because they're also involved in terms of people are going to use
the devices,
looking, and if people were not willing, I still went on. I'm just like, we are going to do this thing. And finally, then taking the proposal you've written, I thought it would be a company-wide thing. We didn't get all that support as we wanted, but then still took it in. It was like, this is what, and the paper plus what Global GSM Association had found, GSMA, was that if you reduce the cost of phones, you increase the GDP of a country by 10%. That's huge for a country. So you're telling them, imagine the mama mbogas, they don't have to pay, they'll be paying, 250 for a phone, or 300 at most for a phone that's good. It just needs USSD. And so that was very compelling. And the then Finance Minister, Uhuru Kenyatta, then in 2007, then announced that mobile phones would also be zero rated. Yeah. And that just spiked. The sale of mobile phones, because now people are not buying phones from Dubai to bring them here, which we called grey, because the income and the tax doesn't come to Kenya. Right. It goes out. And now you're increasing. It really just went like this. It was good, for the years it lasted, that mobile phones were really the future. And I still wish, we've gone back to paying taxes, but I feel like it would be the thing to do to reduce taxes, because it just makes education equal amongst, whether you're upcountry, whether you're in the cities. It levels the playing field, whether you're in a private school or, a government school, a public school. Yeah.
Okay. What does, because you talked about that being one of the biggest things you achieve while you're there. What does achieving this do for your career?
So I have to laugh at myself, because honestly, Barack, so what happened? Nokia's really happy. This was good. And, I was simultaneously trying to do this in Cameroon and in Tanzania. And Uganda, do an
and
East
now you
Africa.
Have a case study.
And now we've got a case study, Kenya. I'm happy. Nokia gave me, I think it was 200K, as, well done. This is really good.
Kenya shillings or USD?
Kenya shilling. I wish. It should have been USD. As I say, when you don't negotiate. And then the country manager then was promoted. I wasn't promoted, but I didn't even think it was anything. I got the 200. I traveled to some fantastic destination, silly me. And later on, I remember, actually, first of all, one of my friends, Agatha, God bless her, she was working at Nokia. She always said, you're getting too comfortable at Nokia. I think you should think about spreading. You've done what you've done. You need to get out.
Yeah.
And you need friends like that who tell you you're too comfortable. You need to get out. I'm like, yeah, Nokia is good. The culture is amazing. She's like, no, you're too comfortable. You need to get out. The country lead who's been promoted, he's Gerard. He tells me, if ever you want to leave, I will be your referee. I mean, I think you should. I'm not leaving. I'm quite happy.
Yeah.
I get a call. We are at startup something. I get a call from the Google recruiter who's saying, "Hi, this is Dorothy Ooko. We are looking for you. We've got a role for Kenya Communications." And I'm like, "Would you be interested?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is not a good time. I'm busy. Another time." And then I hung up. My Nokia. And Agatha is there. She's listening because we work together.
Right.
She was the one driving devices. She's like, "What was that?" Curious. I say, "Oh, it's a Google recruiter wanting me for a job." And I said I was busy. And she's like, "Are you freaking kidding me? You've got to, when they call you, you're taking that job. You're taking it and you're listening to them, to what they have to offer."
Right.
I'm like, "Oh, but this is..."
You've already told the guy.
Yeah. And I'm, so... And again, it's so important to have friends who push you. I'm like, okay, so I get a call the following day. We have I give a number.
Do you call him back?
No, they call me back.
Okay.
Yeah, the recruiter calls.
Thankfully.
Very tenacious.
Yeah.
We talk. But this time, at least I'm able to, say what I feel. And they were offering a role for Kenya.
Yes.
And I said, I don't do countries. I do regions. Which is why I was telling you.
What do I say?
I do regions.
Yeah.
So to leave my job where I'm doing East, Central, and Southern Africa,
Yeah.
to come and do Kenya is not challenging enough for me. So that was, that's what I said. I said, and that's why I wouldn't be interested. So the recruiter goes, no, we can make this happen. Oh, goes, talks to the hiring manager. They were also looking for someone for Senegal.
Yeah.
And remember, I speak French.
Yes.
The guy's like, fantastic. You'll have a region. You'll do East Africa.
And
Exactly, because we have Google in Uganda. We've got Google in Kenya. Tanzania, we sort of work. And then you'll do Senegal. And so when you do Senegal, you do Cameroon. So you'll do
You have a
that's
region.
what. So that's the only thing I changed. I did not negotiate my
Again.
pay. I did not negotiate my pay again because it was double what I was getting
At
from
Nokia.
At Nokia. So remember, I've negotiated for responsibility,
but not pay.
but not pay. Yeah. Which when I got into the company, later on I realized. And that's why I say I'm passionate. I took a negotiation skill where I found out at Google they offer negotiation skill session, which is you always negotiate. You never take the first offer. And all my life I've taken the first offer. Well, these days I don't. But it's to not take the first offer, to always push because there's room for pushing.
Yeah.
And then when you reach that place where it's none of us is bulging, then you do. But I've seen even when I was at Google, some people are really smart negotiators. When they know the company wants them, they're like, yeah, this is it. Okay, you're giving me more shares. If you're not giving me, people are smart. So
Right.
to just know your value and then embrace it and negotiate and be comfortable. So that's what I've learned.
negotiation
In the
process.
negotiation process. So what I told my niece, one of my nieces was going, a few years back was doing a job and her mom was telling her, do not negotiate. Whatever they accept, this is really good, you finish. And I was like, whatever they offer you, push it. Do not accept it. And she pushed. And when she pushed, they accepted. And her mom was like, how is it possible? But that's what I feel. That's the skill I would give. And not just pushing for the sake of it, but just saying, this is what and able to say, this is what I'm giving you this. By the time Google was calling me, I hadn't applied. They'd called me. By the time a company is calling you, they've seen what you're doing. Yes. They've seen your potential, which is why they want you, that you could push, you could go. So they also knew, so the money is good, and Nokia was paying me well, but now it's doubled. It's good. I'm like, this is really good.
Okay, I have a couple of questions
Yes.
that I want to ask, and one of it stems from even before you get to Nokia. How long between when you decide you want to leave teaching and get into corporate to when your head recruiter friend is setting you up for Nokia? How long is that period? And do you get frustrated during that wait around
Yes.
I want to leave?
I think it must have been, I'll be honest. I have a file. I'm one of those. It's a
Yes.
teacher and me. I was moving house the other day and I was looking at this. I was like, do I destroy them? I was like, no. I had a file of, we regret to tell you that this is not, we haven't got this. So regrets were there. I did make many applications and I didn't go through. So there's like, we know. And the Kenyan way, actually, the reason I got the Nokia job was because it was a Finnish guy who wasn't so bogged with my education of, did you study communications? Right. I am amazed at people who still, they'll call me and they go, Dorothy, would you get us someone? But we want someone who has done communication for 10 years and has done what? You need to be able to be willing to take chances on people and based on what they're telling you that they want to learn and they're good. And for him, it was like teaching communication is the same. I can teach you this. And they did. They took me to Italy to learn the basics of PR. You can do it. And he took a chance and left someone who had done many campaigns, but just a chance, Yeah. And I did not disappoint. I delivered.
Yes.
And over-delivered. And so I feel like when it's okay, you will get those regrets many times. And people would reject me, like I'd go and then they'd go, oh.
You're a lecturer.
You're a lecturer.
Yeah.
Oh. I don't know if, lecturers, you people think you know everything. I don't know if I want lecturers. So there's also the thing of where people feel scared or where people feel intimidated that, oh my God, you are a lecturer, Will I be? I was an assistant professor of French at USIU. Oh my, you're an assistant. So you put the title because Kenyans love titles. And then they're like, no, I can't employ you. But you need someone who goes, and I always say, it doesn't matter, even if they've done medical dentistry and they want to do this, if they're hungry and they want to learn, they will learn.
Get it done.
Our degrees only give us the confidence we need to do what we need to do. They give us confidence.
Yeah.
Other than that, you can do everything. So someone with a degree will now have more confidence to say it than someone who doesn't have a degree.
Right.
But anyone could do the job.
Yeah.
I could train you to do the job. So for me, I think that what you want in people is not just, and the Kenya system, market employment system is, they want a degree that says you've done communications at Daystar. Then they are happy. Yeah? The reason I got this, I hadn't done communications at Daystar or at USIU where you study communications, but the person was sure after talking with me, after doing the psychometric test, that I would deliver, I would do a good job. And therefore, I was hungry. And I was asking questions and I would ask journalists, so what would you like from me? What would I do to make your job easier? What can I do to make your job really, reporting about our stuff fun? And I would work on that. So I was hungry, I guess, and I felt you're an outsider in a way because other people are like PR, they've done whatever. But I just believe if you give people a chance to do, and my job is then to convince people that, I can do this job. If you take a chance on me,
I can get it done.
And I can get you there. So I'm not a big, when people go, I've studied this and I want to do this, I'm always like, You could have studied mechanical engineering and you want to do comms. I'll not stop you. If you show me that you want to learn and you've got what it takes and you're willing to learn and willing to ask questions, you can do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then now the second
So
question.
rejections were many.
Yes.
There's a whole file.
And there was
I think
there was a
people
long period.
And there's a long period. And I think that rejections also, sometimes we take rejections, really, you're like, oh God, this is really, really hard. So, sometimes I'd be like, oh God, there's a hymn that we'd sing while thou art calling on others, do not pass me by. It would be my thing, like, Lord, do not pass me by. I need this. But then as well, I think that you then work on whatever is needed, and that if you present yourself well and you prepare well, you show what you can do. So, unless they don't want to, there are some places where I'd look at the person and I'm like, he's old school. Old school, I mean that I could be old school, but I'm not old school. I'm Gen Z in my spirit and in my mind. Right. That's what I channel. But there's some people who are very stuck in their ways. Yeah. If they're stuck in their ways, they're like, you can only employ someone who's done this, and then they must have worked at this company for X years. They can't do this. I've seen people who haven't, who are hungry. They don't have the experience, but they're learning. And I'm like, you're going to do a good job. Yeah. I can see it. So I think ours is to give people a chance and not be so set on these, this is a must, this is a must. We can be so dogmatic. Yeah. And when you're dogmatic, you miss out on something wonderful that you can see, an opportunity, someone who could do a great job. So I tell people, relax on your dogmatism, on your, this is how it is. You'll be surprised with what you get. Be flexible. Right. Yeah, be flexible in life. And then you're surprised by what you get.
What you'll get on the other side. Yeah. Okay. And then what does this shift now when you get to Nokia and for those 10 years that you're there? Yeah. What does that do for your financial health? Because you also say, part of the thing was you look at your friends who are earning 10x what you were when you were lecturing and teaching. Right. So what happens to your financial life over this 10-year period? What milestones do you hit?
Right. Do I hit any milestones? I'm as I say, remember, I'm experienced as I'm traveling.
Yes.
I'm going to Brazil to perfect my Portuguese. I'm doing all the things. I think the place where I really turned, let's say, was when I was at Google as well, is I suddenly realized, so it took me long to realize, it's okay. Yeah. I realized, and I realized, I'm used to surviving. I could survive this with this amount of money. I had a good life. Anything that's over and above is going to be saved. I don't need it. Yeah. I've done, whatever it is. I've bought my car. I bought a showroom car, nice golf, but like now, so I've bought, the things you want to do, my GTI, do the rest. But now anything over and above goes into my savings, my pension, whatever it is. I was clear about that. And someone I worked with was reminding me that I told them, because there were many young people who joined Google and were from campus. And I said, any raise you get, don't use it. Put it aside. Right. And so that's what I do. And my bonus, I was just adding it to save it. My, the pension, you've got the standard amount that's given for pension. I multiplied that by over. I was like, whatever else I don't need is going into my pension. And our pension was not in a Kenyan pension scheme. It was in a Swiss one where you saved in dollars. Right. So just put the money aside. And for me, that was it. It was, I think, anything extra. Because remember, I'm used to living with this amount that I can. Anything extra, I kept aside. I started then investing in bonds, in bills. As I said, I have a wonderful RM. So go, Dorothy, I think we need to invest in this bond. This will pay you this. So really, then I was investing. If you saw to be honest, maybe 5 40% of my earnings I pushed to my pension, and then the rest was, support my family, educate people I need to educate.
Right.
And never lack, still never lack.
Right.
But put a lot of it because I don't need it, and I'm
Right.
doing okay.
Right.
And so that was it, just putting that amount so that, and the big plan was so that my next home, I'm not getting a mortgage.
Yes.
I'm still clear about that. So that was it. And my RM, God bless Nelly. Nelly, if you're watching this, I love you. She was just always like, this is what you need. This is, Dorothy, you really don't need this money. So my bonuses all went into, whatever. I got a bond, T-bills when they were good. Now they are lousy. You know that. But did whatever I could. And then also got shares, not the local shares because they were not giving me a lot, but,
Right.
get the Apple shares
And
or
those
whatever that are needed. Yeah.
Maybe, and this may seem like a bit of an amorphous question, but like, if you can give me some context into how much of a difference this made for your portfolio. Do you know how much your portfolio has grown or grew over the years in that period?
I don't know. As I said, I don't know.
Your
All I
RM
know,
knows.
my RM knows, really. I keep
Yeah.
saying my RM
Yeah.
knows. But then that allowed me to build my home without taking a loan from the bank. Yeah, that was
The plan you put in place allowed you to build
my
without
home
taking
without taking a loan.
Right.
And I think that's the important thing, that you wake up, and that then also enabled me to want to leave to leave Google, because I was like, I've done it now. I need to rest. I can do what I want to do, but the comfort and the luxury of being able. Remember, we've made the plan. How many years can you live without having a salary? Yeah, that's in the plan, where I'm not asking, and I'm not like, you can't live with this fear of, if this happens, oh my God, what am I going to do? Oh my God, where you can fend for yourself, and you can fend for, if my mother needed something, I'd be, like, hey, what do you need? So I feel like that's it. You have, if life happens, it is, but you have made all the right plans in portfolio.
Yeah.
And diversified enough.
Yeah.
And even now, when I look at, we're talking with colleagues about FX Pesa. I mean, if you look at the money market, that's one of the money markets. Like, okay, so I've got these bonds, but you need to diversify. So this one where I need my holiday, it's a money market. I don't want to, it's not a bond that's going to help me. I need to get into the money market. And I know that if I put this amount, if I put $1 million, I'll be able to do this.
Right.
And then be very careful. I think the other thing is just learning to not live by debt. The French, one thing I learned from the French when I was studying in France was that les bons comptes sont des bons amis. Good accounts make good friends, which also taught me make sure you owe people. You owe nothing. You owe no one anything. And I live by that principle, that you live by that. So you're not taking a loan. And I know that these things are very, take a loan for a holiday. Remember, I was like, you don't take a loan for a car.
Yeah.
Less so for a holiday. Less so for a wedding.
Yes.
Yeah? You do not take a loan for these things. You plan.
Yes.
And for me, that's what even I'll tell my students, you plan, because that's what we're supposed to. We're supposed to plan for the emergencies in life. We plan, and we are good stewards of what God has given us.
Yeah.
So you plan. The tax is there, whatever is done, but you plan. And I feel like that has been, I've also had good friends who have pushed me like, hey, you really should be saving there. Or they'll call me and say, hey, have you seen Central Bank has this bond?
Right.
Have you? So it's good. And it's so, I know this is financially incorrect, but it's so important to have the right friends.
Yeah.
Because friends spur you on. If you have friends who are just going to drink, and that's their only plan is to drink, and they're not saving, and that you'll not be encouraged. So you need friends who are doing great things and that inspire you to do the same things, and friends who demand of you better and tell you, Barak, I think you're settling for less. You could do better. And I've been blessed with friends who are like, yeah, you can do it. Once actually, before I built my home, I was going to buy a flat, again, another flat. I was like, oh, this would be a nice flat for retirement.
Yeah.
It's really nice. And my friend was like, Doro, you're too much of Amdos. You cannot be buying a place like this. Can you just build?
Right.
Like I'm also buying a place here. So the two of us are in this place. It can't work.
Yeah.
And you need friends. For me, I was like, oh, it's convenient. We're going to be in the same place. Like, no. And then I'm like, actually, she's right. And then I start looking for land to buy and So you need to have friends who also make you look at yourself in the mirror and they go, why are you doing that?
Right.
No, you could do better. Why are you staying in this place? You could do better. And it sort of propels you. So then that took me 1 year, and then I was looking for land to buy and then whatever, and then do the building. But it was really, if I was left to my own, it'd be like the easiest because it's easy to just go buy whatever. But then it also put in me this idea of plan and be able to plan for what I wanted for myself that suited my purpose. And that was a joy in itself. So friends are important. People you hang around are important because they push you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Very easy. If you have friends, if you show me your friends, I'll tell you who you are.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so the importance of, even though we are talking about money, it's important that you have people who have this respect for money and what money can do and who push you to get out of your comfort zones. I was pushed by many people, and then my RM goes, Dorothy, I don't think so. I keep saying, honestly, Nelly, I'm like, I tell the bank, I've told them, if she leaves this bank, I'm going. Because the only reason I'm with Standard Chartered is because of my RM.
Yeah.
She is amazing, and we'll call and I'll ask and she'd explain to me, and I ask questions to understand, what does this mean? What does this bond we are getting? And she'd explain to me to a place where I understand. And then that's it. And so when we were planning for this eventual building of my home, she knew. She was like, no, Dorothy, we're not putting, remember, we're going to build the home. Then comes the start building, and then someone goes, have you thought about a loan from, they're offering such lovely, rates. She was like, you are not going to take a loan for your home. We've been working for this. This has been our plan.
Point. Yeah.
You're not. So you need people like that who tell you and hold you accountable. And even if your friends are telling you, just get a loan, it sounds good. But I already knew loans
from
are
experience,
just, from X, But now if people want to do it, I'm like, do it, but I'll tell you how to do it better and because sometimes you do need it.
Yes.
But just know that you need to get out immediately. It's not a favor the bank is doing for you. They're getting lots of interest rate. Do it and but better still, save. And if you're young and you're getting more money, you don't have to use all that money. Keep it. Invest it in the money market. I was even reading the other day someone who said, if you have X amount, if you have 300,000 sitting in your account doing nothing, you need to get it out and start. And for me, that's what I believe. You need to make that money work for you
as soon as possible.
And even if you're getting 10K from it, that 10K is good. It enables you to buy X amount for your family and put it on the table. So being disciplined and being good steward of what God has given you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have 3 questions left. Three only. So let's start with the first one, right? So the first one is, and again, this I'm not asking to pry or anything. I'm asking for.
I know you are a prior. I listen to your
I
question.
really am not.
I'm always like, this Barak is prying, and that's why I almost got cold feet. I was like, He's going to ask me questions I don't even want to say. And after that, after all these things, Kerry always goes to look at your profile.
To make sure that...
To make sure. Even when I left Google, the first thing they do, they want to look at what you're doing. But yeah,
Anyway,
ask.
so first thing is, if you could get married again, if you had to go through that process again, what would you do differently from a money perspective? This is and looking at it from a pre and during, because you did mention that it was very 50-50 kind
Yeah,
of
it was a very
relationship.
50-50
So
thing.
if you could do it from a money perspective, if you could do it differently, if you could do it again rather, would you do it differently?
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't do the 50-50 thing. I don't think it's meant to be 50-50. Yeah. I think that I bring to the table what I bring to the table. And you bring it, but I don't know. As I said, I think part of it is I still believe that the man has to take the lead and be able to provide. And I am just coming into it. I've done this, and I think that there's a lot in which people can work together, but it should never be 50-50, 40-60, because we are bringing in different things. And even though I have to say that made it easier for me to leave, because when I left our marital home, it was easy because I could look after myself. I feel like sometimes if you're not bringing in anything, that can be the handcuff that makes you stay, because you don't have a choice and you don't have an income and you don't know what you'll do and you're used to a certain lifestyle. So that was for me the blessing in disguise. But I feel like in all things, I learned a lot. As I said, I learned two things about money. One is you never take a loan to buy a car.
Yes.
Good lessons. And it's because we are from two different cultures. You never use your credit card unless you're going to pay it at the end of the month. But you don't use your credit card like to buy fuel and then let it, build it. No, if you're using your credit card, it's to pay it at the end of the month. So money discipline, which I didn't have. So that's really good. But I feel like the finance is always a big thing. And unless people talk about it, these are things you talk about. We talked about it and I was like, yeah, I'm independent. What is it? But when I look at it, I feel like there's still a role in which I think the man, and maybe that's because of my Christian beliefs, that is a provider and he has to take the lead. And I help, but I'm not the provider, and I take the lead. But I feel like being comfortable that if any crisis happened, I could take over and I could do this and be independent to take care of it. That's important. You know? And I feel like that's where the definition is always hard. And, some people will go, that's, how can you say that I'm a feminist? I was also a feminist, and I am, but I still believe in there are certain roles we are supposed to have, but it doesn't mean I sit down. In Nigeria, my Nigerian colleagues would, they always say, Jerome, maybe you should get me a Kenyan wife, because in Nigeria, it doesn't matter whether you're married, the wife never touches her salary.
Yeah, no matter
what. It's the guy's responsibility to take care of that. We are talking 2025, and that's his joy, and that's what he does. And I was telling them, in Kenya, never. We're doing, they're like, no. And if her mother needs money, she just tells me, darling, my mommy needs money, and he sends. So it's a very different, it's a cultural shift, And you'd go, maybe if I got a Kenyan woman, that would be so good. They find that fascinating that in Kenya we do what we do, we contribute. But for me, I think the thing to be is, and what I tell my nieces as well, is you must be independent. I tell my nieces, the day I find, like, you're calling your boyfriend to send you money for Uber, please call auntie. Why is your boyfriend sending you money for Uber? Why? Call me, because I'd rather send you the money, because if he sends you money for the Uber, he's going to think he owns you. Unacceptable. So what I teach my nieces is, you must be independent. You must get things you want for yourself, by yourself. You must be able to get that. If you want whatever it is you want, you must be able to get it.
Yeah.
Don't wait for someone else to, and dream that someone else is going to get it for you. I'm all for independence and for you getting it. And what I teach my mentees as well is for their independence. So important to be independent. So if you're coming into this, we are independent, but there's certain things you should do as a man that I will not do.
Right.
I'm very clear on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So your role, you'd better do
yours.
your role
Yeah.
because you know your role. Why am I doing your role? And I know my role, and I take joy in doing my role, and I'll not hustle about my role. And I have no problem, serving you your meal and cooking for you. And I love cooking. I don't think that belittles me.
Yes.
But we have roles, and I'll be able to do it.
do
And
that.
and I'm comfortable with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second question is about your a statement that you made as well, and you leaving Google, and you saying that I think it coincides with you finishing your house, and you saying I feel like now I had the ability, almost the freedom to be like, yeah, I can leave, and because I don't think I've talked to anybody about that, so I'm curious about, because I mean, Google is a fantastic place to work from the outside, from what we see. I mean,
Right.
it's a huge global organization. Why would you want to leave it? So I'm curious about you coming to terms with, what that feeling is like. Of, I've done what I've done. I've been able to accomplish a couple of things financially. I have this kind of financial peace. And
no one
wanna do
leaves,
something
and you
else.
don't want to leave. So it's always hard to leave. One of our, Joe Musheru was a CS. He always used to tell us when he was leading Google Africa, he would say, you know that this is a prison. You're in golden, but we're in a nice prison. It's golden shackles.
right.
And you work hard and you enjoy, and it's really good. So it is that you enjoy it and you never want to leave. But I think for me, there was a shift that happened after COVID. We had the first layoff
Right.
and restructuring, as we called it. I lost someone on my team, and that hit us hard because it was like, oh my God, there wasn't any formula of who was leaving. As a manager, I knew that it could be anywhere. We all knew it could be anywhere. It could be marketing, it could be communication, it could be anywhere. But then it hits your team, and it hit us all. We are a small team, 4 people. It hits you and it hits the team. And I remember telling my team, because if you're a people manager, you have to navigate this with your team. Mm-hmm. And first of all, telling my team, you know what this means. You must be ready, because you never know when the time is. So it has happened to one of us, but we all need to take a lesson from this, which is start making your plan, because you don't know when it can happen.
Right.
And this happens a lot. And this is not your father's company, and anything can happen. And so I think it happened. So, I remember my team, someone was like, hey, I've started planning. I've got this. I'm doing my Airbnb. I'm all set. If anything happens, I'm set. But for me, in walking through this with my team member, are you ready? No one is ever ready.
Right.
For a layoff, you're never ready. And then thinking, what if it was me? And during that moment, I also thought it could be me, because I'm expensive. My salary is a big thing. If they need to lose someone, it could be
easiest,
me.
yeah.
I would be the easiest. But the Kenyan laws, apparently, so in that panic, as you read, it's not fast in. It's fast. It's the most recent.
Fast in, first out. No, last in, first out.
Yes,
Right,
exactly.
right.
So you then read about the Kenyan law, the employment, and you look at it. So it can't be, even if the company wants to, the law does not allow it. So you get to know that. But I think that was 3 years ago. You sort of then make that plan. And so I think in my team, I'd like to believe that we all made that plan. But for me, it was always in my mind, it was like, this could be it today. Tomorrow, am I ready? Do I have, and then you increase more of your pension,
Right.
And we had a thing calculator which showed, at the funds thing where you could look and go, yeah, this will allow you to live for X number of years. Well, if the economy didn't change, but economy has changed, as we've seen, so you
Right.
can't plan for these things. But always knowing that that can happen. And I think that was the wake-up call for us. And I think for many people in the organization, knowing that this could happen. So for me, it happened when the person in my team was impacted, and I knew that it could be me. And I knew even as we worked that I knew that it could be. I kept saying, if I look at my team, I'm the most expensive person. You cut off salaries, this salary, you're good. And then after that, it was like walking through that path with my team member, and then knowing, this thing, you could wake up tomorrow and it's you.
Yeah.
So being ready. And I think that kept me, I was ready for 3 years. But then, yes, 3 years, and the 3 years was also building. So you're also doing your thing, but you're also just like ready because it can happen. And then you see, it's not announced, but you're seeing people leave. But yeah, it's comfortable. The first time you're like, I'm waiting for, there's no salary coming in those figures. It's not coming. You're like, wow. But I'm so glad I'm not paying shine shift. All those taxes are damn crazy. They are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so yeah.
So do you actually live on your own terms?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So you tell them it's been good service and.
Yes, I live. Yes, exactly. And I also, during that time, I have a sister who has cancer, and they found another tumor. She had a mastectomy on one breast and left the other. And I went to spend time with her. And when I was with her, when she went through her first chemo, we were with her kids were young, and she kept saying, God, let my kids, I want them, I don't want to go until they're of a certain age.
Right.
And now she was like, and I remember I'm the firstborn, she is a thirdborn. Mm-hmm. She's like, do not make me do chemo again. I will not, whatever happens. So I'm with her in the US. I've taken time off. And I'm with her, and we are going to the cancer center. And she's like, I'm not doing it, whatever happens, And I'm looking at her, and I'm thinking, man, this life, it's short. It's really short. I need to be doing what I need to do, what gives me great joy, and not be in this. Because corporate work is also, there's a lot of corporate politics. Yes. And I'm here, I'm not going to get promoted to where I feel I should be. It's because there are no funds or whatever. It's all that. Maybe it's time to just go and then exhale and do the things I want to do, because life is really short, looking at my sister more. So that was it. I came, handed in my notice, and this is how God works in amazing ways, because then in Jan, she calls, and what they thought was malignant wasn't. It was benign. Mm-hmm. They could remove it. It wasn't. And I still think that the reason that happened was so that I'll be able to, I needed to make that decision. It was like, I've always needed help. God knows that, to make my decisions and make it right. And so when he did, it was like, why didn't I do this earlier? But I couldn't, it's the right time is now. So I am not one who lives in regret. I think the right time is now. And so I do the best. I'm enjoying this now moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last question, and I'm being pushed because we have our next guest who's here, but when are we going to have Dorothy here again? So I have to ask her this last thing. I mean, when I think about your life story and your money story, not even life story, your money story, it's very different. I mean, everyone's is very different, but like coming from, I guess, a lecturer, then getting into corporate.
Yes.
And even you're talking about your friends earning 10 times what you're earning, then you begin to make the big money. Like, what would you say, especially that sort of transition, what has that taught you about money and ability to make money?
That never underestimate your humble beginnings as well, that you will get there. I think sometimes what I see in Kenya right now, we are in a hurry to make money, to get...
Yeah, because 20 years is not a short... I mean, that's like a whole
life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so even...
And you're a lecturer for 20
And even now, I'm just happy with what I've done. And I'm happy with what I've done and where I am at. And, I don't think it would have made a difference if I'd done it. I feel like I am where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
So I feel like sometimes, and I'm running my race.
Yes.
I feel like what gets us in is when I'm trying to live my life the way you are, or the way Collins is, or the way, why aren't I doing this? Why aren't I living? It will happen in your own time. As long as you're working hard, as long as you're saving hard, and you're doing your bit, you will get to where you're supposed to be, and you will be amazed. So for me, that's what I see. I think that, even those people who are way ahead. So this is how life equalizes. The people who are like way ahead, even when I started, now we are at
Same.
Same. So, so we worry a lot about, I want to get, and we put the pressure on ourselves. And I think ours is to enjoy the moment. Because also, if you don't enjoy the present, if you're also just all about making money and not enjoying life, life is short. Enjoy money, enjoy people. I say that if I was to die, I want it, and my friends, I ask them, what did you say about me? You lived your life to the fullest.
Yeah.
And really, that's it. No regrets because those small steps have gotten you to where you are. So when I look at people and I'm like, why aren't you working hard? You're young, you're in your 20s. Do you know how much you could do? When I was 20, whatever, 8, I was doing X number of jobs and there were no Ubers and I was still doing it and I still had fun, I wasn't like, oh, I'm so miserable. I had fun. So just do it at your own time. Do not compare yourself with others, but have the target. And you must want the good life. Because if you don't want the good life, nothing to motivate you. We are motivated by good life.
Yes.
And so that's why I'm enjoying my life of leisure.
Thank you so much, Dorothy. Thank you so much for coming into Financial Economic. So who do you think won? Before, maybe to give context to the view to guys who are watching. So before we started this, because of her profession in PR, we both had narratives we wanted to get out of this interview. So she had what she wanted, I had what I wanted, and we said we'd evaluate at the end to see who won.
I think I got what I wanted.
I did too. I did too. So maybe it's a tie.
I think maybe it's a tie. Maybe
You're
it's a tie. Driven. You're like, let's come back to this.
Yeah, maybe it's a tie.
But that was, I think, I the message I wanted for Financially Incorrect.
We
got it. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
Most welcome. Thank you guys so much for watching Financially Incorrect. Again, it's holiday season. Happy holidays. And we'll see you guys next Friday on the next episode of Financially Incorrect.